Parents are for it, teachers are for it. The only problem may be with the mandate. But lawmakers say if given a choice, it might not be taught.
Let's talk about your first day as presidency. What is the first thing you're going to tackle? Well, Alex, a coalition of student activist groups are trying to get these intimidation charges dropped. They believe Gamble is being victimized twice, once as a victim of sexual assault and now by her peers on the Student Honor Court. Well, Brianna, it was once standard instruction, but 45 states, including North Carolina, are putting an end to the art. Now, national standards say cursive is no longer a requirement, but some people say it's not time to make that change just yet.
I just think it's a more fluid way of writing and thinking.
Catherine Eunice, mother of two, says it's important that her kids learn to write in cursive.
That's just the way that I write. It's just more of a fluid way of thinking, and I guess I'm just old-fashioned in that way.
As a matter of fact, I couldn't do my job because I still get letters from constituents who write in cursive.
Representative Pat Hurley wants students to have a chance to learn cursive. With her new proposed legislation, it will require all North Carolina public schools to teach cursive writing.
Well, I was concerned that the children were not having an opportunity to learn it in some areas, and so I just felt that they needed to know how to read and write cursive.
But North Carolina's adoption of the Common Core standards has left that decision up to the school system. Parents are for it, teachers are for it. The only problem may be with the mandate. But lawmakers say if given a choice, it might not be taught.
It's absolutely necessary. I think it adds speed and it actually enhances the learning process in order to comprehend a different way of writing.
With the Common Core, there's a lot of writing involved, literacy, and with that literacy comes writing, and they need to be able to write in cursive.
The bill could be heard in the next couple of weeks. Representative Hurley thinks this is the right thing to do. I'm Kiera Palmer, WRAL-TV, Raleigh. Alexis Davis is a senior public relations student from Raleigh. When she's not studying, she serves as the president of UNC's Black Student Movement. Davis says affirmative action has made Carolina a better and more diverse institution.
We have kind of led the way in, diversity action. We have our own diversity office, which is a very strong part of our university. And if we did not have affirmative action, then a lot of departments, things right here may not exist.
But there are some who believe affirmative action hurts more than it helps. Greg Steele is chairman of the North Carolina Federation of College Republicans, and he's happy the Supreme Court is finally addressing the issue.
I don't want people to get kind of trapped in boxes and thinking that, we have to have a certain amount of whatever to fit the requirements to come, and then let's bring as many here as we can.
Some think affirmative action results in unqualified students being accepted to UNC and elsewhere. Professor and former UNC Chancellor James Measer says that isn't the case.
What affirmative action does not do, it doesn't admit students who are not qualified and who can't be prepared and who won't succeed.
Measer is a strong proponent of affirmative action and says Carolina's diverse student body and faculty are a result of the policy. Currently, minorities are 26% of the student body, a 300% increase from 1978, when affirmative action began impacting enrollment numbers. Measer says, though he's concerned about the pending court decision, he's not worried about the diversity of the UNC student body.
We'll still have a diversified campus. We'll still do affirmative action.
As for Davis, she remains hopeful.
I sincerely do not hope that it changes affirmative action and hurts universities such as Carolina from being so diverse.
No date has been set, but the Supreme Court could hear the case in the coming weeks. Reporting in Chapel Hill, I'm Kiera Palmer.
Folt says she's ready to take on the role of chancellor, but it's not an easy job. Just how hard is it? Reporter Kiera Palmer sat down with someone who should know, former UNC Chancellor James Measer.
To hit the ground running when I arrived in August.
Is being a chancellor hard? I'm just curious.
It's hard. Yes, it's hard, but it's exhilarating. It's hard because you have so many different constituencies, and making them and pleasing them all is just at the same time is virtually impossible.
Let's talk about her being the first female chancellor of UNC.
It's a wonderful thing in the first place. 65% of our students are female, so for the first time, they will have a role model in South Building at the very top, and I think that is really a cool thing.
We know the new chancellor is going to face some challenges. We talked about this earlier. Now I'm going to name a few of those challenges that are kind of everybody knows about UNC. Could you just tell me how she should approach each of these issues? So the first one actually is going to be searching for a new provost, which you said you had to deal with when you first became chancellor.
Carol Folt will have this really critical appointment to make. It's her most important personnel decision of all, is the choice of her provost, because that is the key position on this campus. She will probably, because she's coming in from the outside, she'll probably choose an internal candidate.
Sexual assault reporting, how should she handle issues like that?
She just needs to let the process work. She needs to hold people accountable, but she needs to let it work.
What's the key advice that she needs to know?
I think listening and learning as much about the strengths of this place and the issues we face.
Is there anything you'd like to add?
I think the last thing I want to say is that I am excited about her. I think she's going to be a great leader for this university, and I look forward to watching what she does.
What we're celebrating with this monument.
Students gather here at the Unsung Founders Monument to understand the role African Americans played in UNC history. AFM professor Tim McMillan says it isn't just a campus tour, but a way to understand the campus and its history.
We're talking about the names of the buildings, the monuments on the campus, the enslaved people who built the campus, all of the people who contributed to the Carolina story, whose stories don't get told today.
Stories like the Unsung Founders Monument, a statue to remember those slaves who built this campus.
It was a great idea and a horrible, horrible statue. It minimizes black contributions in some ways.
The Black and Blue Tour stops at controversial UNC buildings and landmarks, like Daniels Student Stores, named after News and Observer publisher Josephus Daniels, a supporter of white supremacy. But the most talked about stop is near Hamilton Hall at the student body statue,
which is half a statue because the parts that offended people the most have disappeared.
But there are some buildings and monuments that do honor African Americans.
Jackson Hall, the admissions building, is named after the first black faculty member here.
And why is it called the Black and Blue Tour?
It's people who are Carolina blue but are black. And it also is the metaphor of people having been beaten up.
The legacy of African Americans who helped build UNC lives on through this tour. Reporting from Chapel Hill, I'm Kiara Palmer.